Have you ever wondered how the Swiss stay rich without looking like it? No flashy cars, no designer brands, no viral flexes on social media. And yet, generation after generation, they preserve wealth with a kind of quiet mastery that most Americans completely overlook. What if I told you their success has nothing to do with how much they earn, and everything to do with how they think about money? According to a report by Credit Suisse, Switzerland consistently ranks among the wealthiest nations per capita. But here's the real kicker. They don't act rich. They build quiet wealth and pass it on. In this video, I'll reveal 7 powerful Swiss financial habits that are rarely discussed, yet could completely change the way you build wealth. And the final habit, it's the one that separates financial noise from generational power. Let's dive in. First habit, they save first and spend later, never for applause. Saving in Switzerland isn't a challenge, it's a cultural reflex. From a young age, Swiss citizens are taught to see savings as the foundation, not the leftover. The idea that you spend what's left after saving isn't financial advice, it's just the norm. In the US, the average savings rate hovers around 4.5%, BEA 2023, while in Switzerland it often exceeds 18%. That's not a coincidence, it's discipline in action. There's a quiet rule many Swiss live by. If you can't afford it twice, you can't afford it. This mindset acts as a natural brake on impulse spending. Instead of asking, "Can I afford this now?" they ask, "Will this decision protect or harm my future self?" The Swiss have mastered delayed gratification, and in a world obsessed with convenience, that's a rare superpower. Unlike Americans, who often equate spending with status, the Swiss find satisfaction in self-control. A $300 designer shirt means little to someone who's built a $300,000 emergency reserve. It's not that they're frugal for the sake of it. It's that they understand one thing most people don't. Every dollar saved today is a brick in your financial fortress tomorrow. In Switzerland, modesty isn't a virtue. It's a strategy. Second habit, they build quiet wealth through long-term investing. Swiss investors aren't trying to impress you, they're trying to outlive the next crisis. Their investment philosophy is rooted in stability, not speculation. Instead of chasing overnight gains, they commit to strategies that work over decades. Blue-chip stocks, pension funds, dividend reinvestment, and physical assets like gold. According to the Swiss National Bank, over 70% of household wealth is allocated to long-term instruments. They believe in what Harvard economist John Campbell calls intertemporal discipline, choosing the future over the fleeting. The Swiss rarely talk about money, but their portfolios do. The average Swiss millionaire doesn't own 10 NFTs or 6 startups. They own solid REITs, Swiss francs, and companies like Nestlé, not for excitement, but for certainty. As Warren Buffett says, the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. What if your wealth grew quietly in the background while the world argued about crypto? That's the Swiss advantage. They invest with one eye on history and the other on inheritance. It's not just about growth, it's about resilience. If your portfolio collapses every time the news gets scary, it's not wealth. It's just risk dressed as opportunity. Swiss wealth whispers, and it endures. Third habit, they treat banks as partners, not just places to store cash. To most Americans, a bank is where your money sits until it's spent. In Switzerland, a bank is a long-term partner in your financial architecture. Wealthy Swiss families use private banking not just for convenience, but for protection, privacy, and multi-generational planning. It's not about secrecy, it's about structure. Trusts, holding companies, asset shielding. It's financial engineering for endurance. Swiss private banks like Julius Baer and Pictet don't just offer savings accounts, they offer strategies. These include asset allocation across currencies, legacy planning, and tax-optimized wealth transfer. It's no surprise that over $2.5 trillion is managed through Swiss private banks, much of it by families who view money management as a duty, not a chore. In the US, we chase flashy investments. In Switzerland, they build legal walls around capital. In Switzerland, your money doesn't sleep. It stands guard, said investor Felix Zuloff. The Swiss understand that wealth without protection is a liability. Do you know where your money goes at night? Does it sit unprotected in a low-interest account? Or is it actively working for you, buffered by international safeguards and long-term vision? Fourth habit, they keep emergency funds that last years, not months. Imagine losing your income for a year and not panicking. That's the Swiss ideal. While most financial gurus in the US suggest a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, many Swiss build reserves that can cover them for up to 2 years. This isn't fear-based hoarding, it's strategic insulation. The Swiss call it the Schweizer Puffer, a cushion designed to outlast recessions, layoffs, even pandemics. Why so much? Because independence is the highest form of financial freedom. An emergency fund isn't just about paying bills, it's about buying time. Time to wait for the right job, time to negotiate, time to protect your dignity. According to UBS, over 68% of affluent Swiss households maintain liquid reserves of over $100,000, not in investments, but in stable cash equivalents. Americans often see emergency funds as boring. The Swiss see them as bulletproof, because when crises hit, the loudest voice isn't the news, it's your bank balance. And if that voice says, "You're safe," you get to move through uncertainty with calm, not chaos. Financial security isn't just about growing wealth, it's about removing panic from your future. Fifth habit, they prioritize security over status. In Switzerland, financial peace matters more than public perception. It's common to find multimillionaires driving Volkswagens, wearing modest watches, and living in homes that don't scream wealth. Why? Because security beats status every time. The truly wealthy don't need to advertise it. As Morgan Housel says, spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. The average Swiss household saves far more than their American counterparts, despite similar income brackets. Why? Because their self-worth isn't tied to luxury brands or lifestyle inflation. A Rolex won't protect your retirement. A Gucci belt won't pay your medical bills. In Switzerland, the question isn't, "Can I afford this?" It's, "What will I give up by affording this?" By detaching their identity from their possessions, the Swiss unlock something powerful, peace of mind. They don't chase fleeting approval, they build lasting sovereignty. Ask yourself, would you rather drive a flashy car or never worry about making rent? In Switzerland, that answer is clear, and it's why they quietly win the money game. Sixth habit, they diversify internationally and think in multiple currencies. Swiss wealth is built with a passport in one hand and a currency chart in the other. Unlike most Americans who hold 100% of their assets in dollars, the Swiss think globally. It's common for individuals to hold savings in francs, euros, and dollars, plus gold in private vaults and even overseas property. They don't just diversify investments, they diversify financial systems. Why such a broad footprint? Because the Swiss understand that no currency is immune to political decisions. The 2008 crisis, the 2022 war-driven inflation spikes, these events didn't surprise them. They were prepared. Gold ownership in Switzerland is the highest per capita in the world, and more than 30% of citizens own foreign assets or offshore accounts. This isn't about escaping the system. It's about outsmarting its weaknesses: inflation, capital controls, political instability, the Swiss hedge, all of it. Their portfolios are like multilingual, multi-currency bunkers. If your entire financial life is exposed to one economy, one policy, or one central bank, you're not diversified. You're just conveniently vulnerable. Seventh habit: they pass down habits, not just assets. In Switzerland, financial education begins before puberty. Children are given allowances with expectations: save, donate, spend wisely. By the time they reach adulthood, they've already learned the fundamentals of budgeting, compound interest, and delayed gratification. The result? A society where financial maturity isn't taught in panic, it's taught in peace. Swiss parents don't just leave money to their children, they leave systems. 3-jar methods, investment simulations, family meetings about budgets. UBS reports that over 70% of Swiss high-net-worth families have formal financial literacy plans for heirs. Because they know wealth without wisdom is like handing a Ferrari to someone who never learned to drive. What if your kids inherited your discipline, not just your dollars? That's the Swiss question, and their answer is stunning. Teach them young and trust them early, because the real inheritance isn't money, it's mindset. If your child grows up understanding the why behind wealth, they won't just keep it, they'll grow it and pass it forward. Now let me ask you, would you rather look rich in your 30s or be rich in your 60s? Would you rather impress strangers or secure your children's future? The Swiss have answered that question, not with words, but with habits. And now, so can you. If this video opened your eyes to a new way of thinking about wealth, let me know in the comments below. Which habit hit you the hardest? And which one will you start applying today? Remember, real wealth doesn't shout, it whispers from behind the scenes. And that whisper, that quiet power, might just be your greatest financial advantage.